He was a revolutionary, a philosopher, a president. Thomas Jefferson helped define what America would become. He wrote the Declaration of Independence, led the Louisiana Purchase, and founded a university that still stands today. But behind the brilliance was a man full of contradictions, a man who spoke of liberty while enslaving hundreds. In this episode, we trace the full arc of Jefferson's life, from his boyhood in colonial Virginia to his rise as a statesman and the complicated legacy he left behind. This is the story of Thomas Jefferson, the visionary, the builder, the paradox. Thomas Jefferson was born on April 13, 1743, in Shadwell, Virginia. He was the third of 10 children in a wealthy plantation family. From an early age, Jefferson was curious, disciplined, and deeply intellectual. He began studying Latin, Greek, and French by the age of 9. His father, Peter Jefferson, was a land surveyor and planter, and instilled in him a respect for education and the land. After his father's death, when Jefferson was just 14, he inherited thousands of acres and dozens of enslaved people. This would shape his future, both his privilege and his paradoxes. He went on to study at the College of William and Mary, where he was known for his tireless pursuit of knowledge. He read 15 hours a day, studied law, and trained under George Wythe, one of the most respected legal minds in Virginia. By his mid-20s, Jefferson was a practicing lawyer and member of Virginia's House of Burgesses. He was brilliant, methodical, and idealistic, driven by Enlightenment principles that would soon fuel a revolution. Thomas Jefferson entered the political arena just as the colonies were growing restless under British rule. By 1769, he was serving in Virginia's House of Burgesses, where he quietly pushed for reforms and resistance against British authority. In 1774, he wrote A Summary View of the Rights of British America, a bold pamphlet that challenged Parliament's control over the colonies. It was widely read, and it made Jefferson a rising star among American patriots. 2 years later, Jefferson was chosen to be part of the Second Continental Congress in Philadelphia. He was only 33 years old when he was asked to write the first draft of the Declaration of Independence. He worked mostly alone in a small rented room, drawing inspiration from Enlightenment thinkers like John Locke. The result was a powerful document that forever changed the world. It began with a simple but revolutionary idea. All men are created equal. The Declaration was signed on July 4, 1776. It marked the birth of a nation and the beginning of Jefferson's lasting legacy. After the Revolution, Jefferson returned to Virginia and focused on building his dream home, Monticello. It was a neoclassical masterpiece designed by Jefferson himself, filled with books, inventions, and ideas. But behind its elegance was a harsh reality. Monticello was also a working plantation, operated by enslaved labor. Jefferson owned more than 600 people throughout his life. He wrote about the immorality of slavery. He called it a moral depravity. But he never freed the majority of the people he held in bondage. One of the most controversial parts of Jefferson's legacy is his relationship with Sally Hemings. She was an enslaved woman at Monticello, and historians now widely accept that Jefferson fathered several of her children. She was also the half-sister of his deceased wife, Martha. Jefferson's public image was that of a statesman and scholar, but his private life was shaped by contradictions between ideals and actions, between freedom and ownership. The same man who wrote, "All men are created equal," kept men, women, and children in chains. In 1701, Thomas Jefferson became the third President of the United States. He entered office with a vision of limited government, individual liberty, and a nation of independent farmers. One of the most significant achievements of his presidency came in 1803. The Louisiana Purchase. For $15 million, Jefferson bought over 800,000 square miles of land from France. It doubled the size of the United States and opened vast new territory for exploration and settlement. This move reshaped the future of the country. But it also exposed Jefferson's willingness to stretch his principles. As a strict constitutionalist, he once believed the federal government had limited power. But no clause in the Constitution gave him the authority to buy land. Still, he made the deal because it was too good to pass up. Jefferson also funded the famous Lewis and Clark expedition, sending explorers west to map the new territory. It was a bold, visionary act that changed the nation's trajectory. Jefferson's presidency was filled with accomplishments, but also contradictions, just like the man himself. After leaving the presidency in 1809, Thomas Jefferson returned to Monticello. But retirement didn't slow him down. He turned his energy toward one final project, a public university free from religious control. That dream became the University of Virginia. Jefferson designed the campus himself, from its buildings to its curriculum. He believed education was the foundation of a strong democracy. Unlike other schools of the time, the University of Virginia had no church on campus. Instead, it emphasized science, philosophy, and history, values Jefferson held dear. Even in his final years, Jefferson remained intellectually active. He maintained a lifelong friendship and rivalry with John Adams. The two founding fathers wrote to each other often, debating politics, religion, and philosophy. Jefferson's health began to decline in the 1820s, but he lived long enough to see the country he helped create celebrate its 50th birthday. On July 4, 1826, Thomas Jefferson died at the age of 83. It was the same day his old friend John Adams died, hours later, and hundreds of miles away. Thomas Jefferson left behind more than buildings and documents. He left behind a legacy that continues to shape American identity. He helped write the principles that define the nation: liberty, equality, the pursuit of happiness. He expanded its territory, opened the frontier, and promoted education for future generations. But Jefferson also left behind contradictions that are impossible to ignore. He spoke of freedom while denying it to hundreds. He opposed slavery in theory, but sustained it in practice. He gave the world ideals, but failed to live by all of them himself. For some, he is a founding genius. For others, a symbol of hypocrisy. But for history, he is both. Jefferson's life reminds us that even great minds are flawed, that the fight for justice is never simple, and that the story of America is one of ideals, still being tested, even today. He died as he lived, with hope in ideas and with shadows in his past. This was the life of Thomas Jefferson. Visionary, architect, contradiction.